Hey everybody, Desert Guardian here. Today I want to talk to you about the Smith Wesson M&P Shield 45, which I have right here in front of me. This is one of my favorite everyday carry guns. It's very small, it's very light, it's very portable and very concealable. And I figured I would just go through some of the ins and outs of it and kind of give everybody a feel for it. So, I mean, first off, we'll just take a look at it. So here it is. This is the M&P 45 Shield. Go ahead and clear it here. So this one, if anybody noticed, when the Shield came out, the 9mm came out first, and then the 45 came out, and the 45 looked a little bit different than the 9mm. It had a little bit different stippling with the third panel in here, the front serrations, things like that. It was a little bit of foreshadowing to the 2.0 that came out shortly after. So this is my 2.0 45, which also has the front serrations, the center stippling in the grip, very similar to it. It also has a crisper, more audible and tactile feel trigger to it, which the M&P 45 Shield also had. Now, excuse my arm there. Now, I've replaced the trigger in this one, obviously, because it doesn't come factory with a green trigger. This trigger is made by Hyve Technologies, and they knocked it out of the park with this trigger. So this particular one is the M&P 45 Shield with the safety, and then, of course, it's got the Hyve trigger. So I want to take a quick look at that, so I'm going to go ahead and tear it down. So lock it open, flip the disassembly lever, forward we go. So it's your typical striker-fired pistol, you know, the dual recoil spring, stainless guide rod, you know, nothing really out of the ordinary here. But when I put the trigger in, so this is one thing I did want to show you. So the trigger comes from Hyve, and there is a little bit of modification that needs to be done. At the end of the trigger, there's a little loop. Probably have to tear this down to show it to you, but that actually needs to be shaved down about 0.03 of an inch to make the safety work. So that was a kind of a daunting task, thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to file something down on my new pistol. But as with any of the builds and construction and tips I put together, just go slow. Go slow and have fun with it. But the result was amazing. Put it back together. I'm going to show you this trigger. So this is the nicest striker fire trigger I've ever felt. Simply because, you know, I'm a 1911 guy. I don't like a bunch of creep. I don't like a bunch of take up, and I like a crisp break. So check this out. There's your scissor safety right there. That's all the take up you have, and break. So here's the reset and break. So there's nothing there when it comes to take up. Tiny little bit of wiggle, that's it. And it's really interesting. I went out shooting with a buddy who picked this up, and you know, this trigger is about a 3.5 pound break, maybe 3.25. It's very light, it's very responsive. And he said, hey, I want to give it a try. So I handed it to him. He pulls it out of the holster, brings it up, and as soon as he rests his finger on the trigger, bang, round goes off. And granted, he's got very good handling education, so you know, he hit the target, he just hit it a little bit low, but he wasn't expecting it, because most people think, when they're thinking a striker fired pistol, it's more along the lines of this kind of take up and then break. So he wasn't expecting to have the almost non-existent take-up with this trigger. So I think Hyve did an amazing job on this. Like I said, when you're working the innards of it, it's really easy to get it tuned exactly how you want to, and still have, you know, an effective safety on there. But I mean, it is amazing. The thing shoots great. It shoots soft, surprisingly. I've always liked my M&P 45s and my 1911s because they shoot really well. I mean, you know, you get the old mantra that 40 cal is like being hit in the hand with a baseball bat, and you know, 9mm is the softer shooting one, yada yada yada. You know, you're gonna get a million opinions from a million different people, but I always like the way 45 shoots. You know, it puts a big hole in something and it shoots pretty soft. And this is no exception. Being so small, so thin, and so light, I was expecting it to have a little bit of like a kick like a mule, like a old Glock 27 that I used to have, which was a 40 cal, about the same size but a little thicker. That had quite a kick. This does not. It shoots really soft and comfortable in your hand. Comes with 2 different options for the magazine. So this particular one here, 6 rounds. Your extended mag, 7 rounds. And then, of course, if you want to go for it, Hyve Technologies makes extended mag base that you know, you can run 8 rounds in. So then you're kind of up in the same caliber as a 1911. So here's my TRP. And your 1911, here's your standard 7-round 1911 mag, and here's a Wilson Combat ETS mag, which is 8 rounds for the 1911. So, you know, if you want to compare size, so this here is what they call their 6+1. So as you notice, it's not a double stack, it's a single stack, but Smith & Wesson widened it just a hair, so it gives it a little bit of a stagger. So instead of having truly one on top of each other, they're just pushed to the side just a tiny bit, kind of like this, you know, and that results in a little bit more space, you know, in the magazine. So that's kind of how they're run in here. Makes it a little bit easier, able to stuff a little bit more. So in the 7+1 version, the magazine is a little bit shorter than a 1911. Now for the ultimate carry size, obviously the little 6+1, the 7-rounder, makes this a very nice portable package. So I've got this is my little inside the waistband from On Your 6 Designs. I mean, it is very thin, very portable, very lightweight, even with 6 rounds of 45 in there. That's a great size for a carry pistol. So, I mean, we can compare that to my other everyday carry, my Glock 19, and just looking at the width of the holsters, pull it back out here. You can see that's a lot girthier holster there. You know, because that's a double stack 9mm. Now granted, the 9mm is a heck of a lot smaller than the 45. But still, a double stack 9mm is going to be a lot thicker in the grip than a kind of a staggered or single stack 45. So there's the big difference right there. You can see the width difference between the Glock 19 and the Shield 45. It's pretty significant. Now, the Shield 45 is like a true subcompact carry. So, you know, with its little 3-inch barrel, not a 4-inch barrel, but because of the way it's designed, if you go like a true length of the thing, like the back of the frame here, you can see the Glock is only about a ½ an inch longer. So, and then down here in the magazine portion, if I were to line up both trigger guards and line up the back, you can see they're actually pretty similar in size. The back of the Shield, where this little recess spot is for the magazine, sits about the same as the Glock 19, maybe just a hair more with that tab sticking out in the 15 round size of the 9mm. So with the smaller mag in and a standard Glock mag in, which is actually the base plate's going to stick out a little bit further, the Glock actually will stick out further. Granted, it's got 15 rounds versus 7. I'm sorry, 6, 7, sorry. But you know, it is roughly the same size in the grip. And the Glock, it runs about a ½ inch longer. But different caliber, you know, different strokes for different folks. I like the 45. I also like the 9mm, but my heart goes pitter-patter for the 45. And having a real small one here that's so easy to conceal is a plus in my book. Now, the 9mm shield is actually a little bit narrower side to side, and I think I want to say 1/4 inch shorter. So it's a little bit smaller than the 45 shield, so it's even smaller than this. And that presents a problem if you want to do a trigger, or you know, Classy Raptor made a few back plates for the 9mm, but not available for the 45. There aren't as many people who prefer to carry the 45 shield as the 9mm. The 9mm is much more mainstream, I'm not going to lie, but hey, it is what it is. So that's it. So here, let me grab my 45 full size. Set that guy back down and show you a comparison of, this is the Smith & Wesson double stack 10-round magazine versus the Shield. So this is like a true double stack, and this is a little bit of a staggered stack, single stack. But yeah, I mean, that's how they get to the subcompact size. Double stack versus single stack. I mean, you can see there's a huge length difference. For the 45 Shield, if you want to put a light accessory on it, there's no rail on it. It wasn't designed for it, but there are a lot of lights out there that will attach and you know, run just a small light on it if you need to have a light bearing option for your Shield. But yeah, I mean, it is a fantastic little pistol. I highly recommend it if you like the 45 round, and if you like the 9mm round, by all means, take a look at the 9mm Shield. I think most people who know me know that I think Glock really missed the mark with 45. Their full-size 45-21 is not, to me, not comfortable in my hands. They're compact and subcompact. You know what? If they would have brought out a stagger stack 45 the same size as a Glock 19, I would have been all over that. But you know, they aren't listening to my requests. I might be the only one requesting that, but I really like the way Smith & Wesson's 45s feel in my hand, and it's partially due to that construction and comfortability, which makes them shoot so soft. So, you know, they feel good. They feel great in my hand. Here, let's take one quick look at the Hyve mag. Let me pop out the 8 rounds out of here. I have a bunch of loose 45 rolling around here in a second. So with the 8 round with the mag extension, you can see that really brings this down in the grip. And a lot of people, when they're carrying, the hardest part to conceal, or the biggest imprinting, happens where this sticks out. You know, if you're at the 3 or 4 o'clock, this is the part that's going to poke into your t-shirt. If you're a bigger framed person, or you appendix carry, you know, you can conceal this much more. This is easy to conceal out here. This not so much if it's poking through a shirt or a sweatshirt or something. Now, I've got my TRP here, and with no mag in it, but this runs a mag well, so the mag sits almost flush. You can see that sucker runs about the same size as a full-size 1911, other than, you know, almost 1.5 inches more in the barrel. So that's something to take into consideration. I love having a couple extra rounds, but for concealability, it definitely makes a difference. You know, but that's why I have the 3 options. That's why I have the Hyve mag base, I have the 7 round, and I have the 8 round, because I can carry it in any position, anytime. You know, I'm out here in the desert. You know, sometimes I'm wearing shorts. Sometimes, you know, I'm wearing jeans. Sometimes in the winter I'll have a sweatshirt on, but I like to have all options. So if I'm wearing shorts and a t-shirt, a lot of times I'll just be carrying a 7-round magazine in it. You know, if I've got a sweatshirt on or a jacket, you know, I'll run the 9 rounds. But yeah, so that's really concealable right there. I mean, this almost you could put in a pocket. I don't recommend it, but it is possible. You can also, you know, they also make ankle holsters for it if you've got yourself in a position where you're wearing pants that can cover it. But it is a nice, soft shooting, accurate, reliable, easily concealable pistol, and I absolutely love mine, and recommend it. If you're looking for a 45 caliber in a subcompact, definitely give the Shield a try. What else can I say? It's fantastic. If you guys have any questions or concerns or comments, feel free to comment below. I'll probably end up tearing this thing down on video and reinstalling the trigger, just because I have had a lot of questions about the Hyve trigger and the installation process. And somewhere in my box of goodies, I've got the original trigger, so I'll probably pull out the trigger and reinstall it and do the Hyve trigger, because it is a little bit more comprehensive than doing the like a Glock trigger. Glock trigger is pretty in and out, but when one of these triggers comes, it comes like that. It is just the shoe. So you use the existing trigger bar. Oh, here it is. So that was actually from 45 Compact. So here is my factory parts. Mag base. And so there it is. That is the Shield trigger. So when you're constructing your trigger, one of the things that makes it have such a nice take up and break in it is they kind of change the pivot point on the trigger itself. So your trigger bar goes in here. You use the factory trigger bar, and so when I reinstall this one and kind of go through the process of that, we'll show it is a little bit more difficult of an install, but the way Hyve changes the angle on it, they really knocked it out of the park with that trigger. So there we go. There's the original trigger, and it actually sits forward quite a bit more because the angle of the pivot has been changed with the Hyve trigger. So that's another video for another day. We'll tear into it and kind of show everybody the ins and outs of the installation and reinstallation of a 45 Shield trigger. But hey, like I said, any questions, comments, concerns, leave them below. I'm always here for you. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. That's it for now. Desert Guardian, out.